Hello, wicked friends, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to episode number 4 of our Christmas in July series. So in today's video, as you can see, my desk is covered with stuff. We are going to be making these adorable little Christmas tags that are going to hold gift cards that you can use on your Christmas tree, or you can give them as gifts. But I think they are adorable, and they feature these adorable vintage pattern ladies with these cute little dresses. So as you can see, the back has a spot for a gift card and also a little spot on the side where you can stick a note or a little Christmas letter to whoever you're gifting it to. So I know we do a lot of Christmas parties. We do some fun Yankee swap style parties. So this is the perfect type of gift that you can make. Most everything in here is stuff that you have in your home already, and it is a no-sew project. All right, so let's get started. So as I was saying earlier, just about everything in this project is stuff that you can collect from around your house. So I was lucky enough to grab quite a few vintage sewing patterns, and I was able to take those sewing patterns and upload them and clean them up a little bit and change the size of them. I have a digital available in my Etsy shop with a dozen or so of these vintage sewing pattern ladies that you can use in this project. Or you can just use sewing patterns that you have at home, or you can go through magazines and cut out clips of models in magazines. I just like the vintage look of the sewing patterns from like the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So that's what the theming is for the tags that I'm doing. Now, also you can see I have some boxes that I have been collecting of just regular everyday items that I've bought from the grocery store. I used up the item and I saved the box. This one is a yellow cake mix. I have graham crackers. I have these Whippet, I love these little Whippet chocolate marshmallow cookies. I also have some from Christmas that I saved as well. I have the fun Christmas tree cakes, the Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes, and the brownie Christmas trees. I love these. These are so good. I actually saved these from last year for this project specifically. So what I'm going to do is I can't do all of these with you today, but I'm going to show you how I went ahead and made this one, and then you can use your imagination and make your own tag gift card holders that you can hang on your Christmas tree. Okay, so we're going to be working on this one right here. Since it's Christmas in July, I wanted this to be a very Christmassy themed tag. I've also collected over the years some vintage handkerchiefs, and you don't have to use vintage handkerchiefs. I love using actual vintage pieces in my crafting, so I am going to be using a lot of these vintage handkerchiefs. I tried to pick out the ones that aren't perfect. Like this one, for instance, has a little stain down here. I hate cutting up vintage handkerchiefs that are in good shape, so I kind of separate all of the ones that I've collected from thrifting, and I keep my good ones separate, and then the ones that are a little on the rougher side I use for crafting. So that is what I will be using in today's project. But in addition to vintage handkerchiefs, you can also use a variety of other things. You can use just fabric squares that you have. You can use pieces of clothing that you wear anymore and you want to cut up. You can always go to Goodwill and find something that you like for fabric and then use that and just cut up the fabric from that. I do a lot of recycling fabrics, so if I see something I like, I will just cut it up and reuse it in another project. But like I said, I'm going to use some vintage items because I like to at least incorporate 1 or 2 real vintage items in almost all of the projects that I do. So that's why I am using these actual vintage handkerchiefs. And we're going to use this gorgeous little Merry Christmas one. Too bad it has a little stain because that made it, actually there's a few little stains on it. That made it not a perfect one, but we're going to take the perfect pieces out and reuse them. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. Also, this is one of the little die cut sewing pattern ladies that I have here. I love her green dress. I love her dark hair. She's just so sophisticated looking. So she's going to go on the tag that we're making. Now, I've actually printed out a few different sizes of these little die cuts, and I've cut them in my Cricut cutter. However, you can print these out at home. If you get the digital, you can print these out and fussy cut them yourself. If you know me at all, you know that I can't stand fussy cutting, hence why I use my Cricut. But you can print out different sizes. So depending on how big or how small you want them, they normally come two to a page, and they're normally about 9 inches from top to bottom. But you can make them smaller by adjusting the percentage in your settings of your printer. So if you want it at like 50%, it would only be like a 4.5 inch die cut that would print. So again, play around with your printer settings so you can print different sizes. The last one that I did here, I think she was about 6 inches, so she's a little bit shorter. This one we're going to do a little taller. She is the full, I believe, 8 or 9 inches. Let me just double check. We got 4, 8, like, yeah, 4.5, 8.5 to 9 inches is what she is. So we're going to make a taller, longer tag. First of all, what I'm going to do is I am going to be using probably both the front and back of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully cut this out. Now I'm not using the whole thing. I'm going to cut this down. I don't want a huge big tag this size. This is probably 14 inches tall. I don't want anything that big, but I'm just going to carefully cut this down just so that it's easier to work with. Now this is the back. I can get some good fussy cuts out of this. I also like the sides with the label on the sides. We can use those for pockets or something later. Even if you don't use them in this particular project, save them. Anything with good print or image on it, save for another project. That's what I usually do. Then once I get it to a good size, then I'm going to go back in and clean this up with my paper trimmer. All right, so we trimmed that off. All right, so now I've got a good piece over here, and I also don't want these words right here, so I'm gonna trim all of this off as well. All right, so I'm gonna cut this, and that way we at least have Santa still in the picture here. But again, these little scraps are great, these little cutoffs, because you can make little, what I do is I have a little circle punch, and you can just punch out circles from here and use them as tab or hole protectors. So when you punch a hole in something, you can put this on the where you're going to punch the hole and punch the hole through, so it gives it a little extra protection. So I usually do that with a lot of the extra cutoffs that I have. Okay, so now for the back, I have printed out one of my Christmas papers that come in my Christmas paper kit on my Etsy. The link for all of these will be in the description below, so you can go and pick them up. This is a digital kit, so you'll actually get the digital files right away when you place the order, and you'll be able to print them out as you need them. So this is one of the papers. We're going to use this top portion. I'm not going to use Santa or the little soldiers in this one. I might use it in another one, but we're going to use the top portion for the back of our tag. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to just trim this up. I've already measured it to make sure that it's the same size as my box cover here. And so I am just going to trim out all of my white on my paper first, and then we'll go ahead and cut it down to the same size as this. Okay, so I have cut out my paper to be the exact same size as my cardstock. Now I am printing on a lightweight cardstock as well. So this is going to be a fairly thick tag. It's not going to be flimsy. You definitely want to use something heavier than just a regular copy paper for this, especially if you want it to have some consistency, if you're going to be putting a gift card in it or a letter or a Christmas card or something like that. So print on something a little bit heavier than just regular copy paper. Okay, so I'm going to be using my Fabrifix glue for this, and when I glue this on, I don't want to glue this right hand side. I want to make a pocket out of this right hand side so that you could put your Christmas card or letter, whatever you want in here. So I am just going to glue around the top, down the side, and the bottom, and we're going to leave this left hand side open, or actually it would be the right hand side of the front of the tag open. All right, and then just carefully line that up glue it together. All right, so now you have your pocket that you're gonna be able to stick something down into this pocket right here. All right, so now I am actually going to round the two bottom edges that I have. I'm just using my corner rounder, and I'm using a medium roundness. I'm gonna just go around those bottom corners just like that. I'm gonna leave the top because the top we're actually gonna be cutting off to make it the shape of an actual tag. So we'll do that right now also. I'm just gonna cut off, I don't know, just a little piece of the corner, and I'm gonna save that, flip it around, put it up against the other corner, just like such, and then take your pencil and make a quick little mark so that way you know you're getting the same cut on both sides. And voila, now you have a nice cut on both sides. Now what you might have to do, which this one's not too bad, you might need to put a little bit more glue at the top up here, but this one's pretty good. I'm gonna just leave it as is because when you cut that angle, you're cutting off a little bit of the glued corner, but this one's still fine. All right, now I'm also going to take my hole punch and I'm gonna cut a little notch, like a little half circle out of this paper. Now you could have done it before you glued it on. I'm just doing it now. I'm going about halfway down and I'm cutting a half circle about right there, just so that you know it's a little pocket, and we'll distress this up so it'll be even more noticeable. Okay, so I want my tag to look very vintage. So I'm going in with my archival ground espresso. It's a dark color, dark brown, and we're gonna distress up all of my edges just to give it that kind of worn, distressed look, because I want this to look like an actual old vintage tag. Now the last one that I did, I actually used a red called Red Geranium for the distressing. You can see I did the red all around the edge on this one, but I'm doing this one in a little darker color. You can distress whatever color you like to do. You can do black, you can do browns, or you don't have to distress at all if you don't like distressing. But I just think it makes the actual piece stand out a little bit and gives it that more vintage, authentic vintage look. So right up here, I'm also gonna distress right through where the white paper is. Okay, so we have our tag all distressed front and back. This is gonna be the front, this will be the back. There's actually some nice writing spots on the back of this tag, so if you wanted to write your little note to whoever the tag is going to, you could write that right here. We're gonna make another pocket at the bottom for our gift card. I'm using another one of my papers from my kit to make the little gift card pocket. So what I've done is I measured the size or the width of the pocket that I want. I want it to be slightly smaller than the width of my large tag. And then I figured out how deep I wanted it to be and made a little mark. So we're gonna just cut this right out. All right, so this is gonna be our little pocket. I'm also going to round the edges on this and distress this just like I did. Just gonna round the bottom two edges, and then we're gonna also take our circle punch and cut punch a half circle in the top for our little notch so we know that it is a pocket. And then I'll take my ink and go ahead in and just distress all of my edges. All right, so here's my pocket. I actually like to do some sort of little decorating on the pocket itself. So I'm just going through my scraps. I pulled out this little piece of fabric scrap that I used for another project. It fits just about perfect on the front of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this down and then put some sort of little decoration on here just to give it a little extra pop of something on the back. All right, so then I'll just trim this off the edge. And then let's put like a little button or something on here just for a little extra decoration. All right, so I have a little piece of a vintage fabric greenery here. I just cut a little piece of it off. We're gonna just glue that down and a little red button on top of it. All right, so that just gives it a little extra something. And then, just like we did with the large pocket, we're gonna glue this smaller pocket for the gift card down to the back, and we're just gonna glue around the sides and the bottom. And for this one, I'm not going all the way down to the bottom because I liked this little image. So I'm gonna put it about a third of the way up. So now we have our little pocket for our gift card right here. And we also have a pocket here for our Christmas letter. And then we can also write right back here. All right, time to start decorating the front. All right, so I have pulled out some lace and we're going to cover this bottom piece down here, just the bottom of our tag, with some of this lace. This is just some vintage lace. And then I also have this red check ribbon from Dollar Tree. I think this was a Valentine ribbon, but I like the red and white check and it has a little bit of a sparkle. So we're gonna put that right on top of our lace as well. So let's get our Fabrifix and we'll just put this right at the bottom. I'm gonna have a little bit just hanging off the edge, not much. I'll trim the sides. There we go. Put that ribbon right in that Fabrifix. Make sure it's straight. Okay, so I like that. I might put some other little something down here as well, but I want to get some of my other pieces on here. So I have this vintage Christmas list. It comes in my Christmas labels kit in my Etsy shop. We're going to use this, and I'm going to cover up this little advertisement right here that was on the front of the box with this list like that. But I'm also going to round the edges, I think. Let me get let's do a little rounded edge. And I also want to distress the edges. All right, so there's my rounded edge. I'm gonna go back in with my ink and we'll ink up those edges. I'm gonna kind of give it a little bend there, just so there's a little movement to it. Okay. Now let's glue this down. Like I said, we're going to kind of go off the edge just a little bit with it, but I want it closer to the top, but I don't want to go all the way to the top because I'm going to have my hole punched here for my hang tag. So these are a lot of fun to make. You can be very creative with them. You don't have to do just Christmas. Halloween ones would be really fun to make also. And you could give them out at Halloween time, or if you're having a Halloween party, you could make some for Halloween and they could be prizes for, like, you know, best dressed or for Halloween contests or whatever. Okay. So there's my back. Here's my front. Let's also do a little bit more decorating. I have another one of these faux pieces of greenery. I'm going to just pull it apart, and I want to use this portion, the green portion. I think I'm going to put this down here. I think I'm going to put that right down at the bottom. So let's glue that down. All right, I'm going to use hot glue just in the center here of this greenery, and I'm going to lay 2 or 3 little white pearls in there like that. Just like that. It gives it a little something else. A bunch of little things. Oh, I like this little green ticket. This is in my labels collection also, my Christmas labels. I might put that on there. I have another one of those. Oh, this might be cute. What if I use a little wreath like that and put that up top and punch the hole in the center of that? I like that. I'm going to do that. All right, so we're going to take this little guy here. I'm going to just distress the edges because, again, I don't like those white edges. There we go. I made a strawberry rhubarb pie today, and I put a little hidden Mickey in it for Jameson. The rhubarb was on sale at our market that we go to, and so I thought that that would be a fun thing to have for dessert tonight. Strawberry rhubarb pie. All right, I'm gonna glue this right on the top. So I smell it. It's in the oven right now, and it smells so good. I'm just centering it. And then I'll go ahead and punch my hole through that when that is dry. All right, while I'm waiting for that to dry, and before I punch my hole, I'm gonna set this aside. I have some more little pieces of ephemera that I might add to it. I am going to make the skirt for our lady here. I'm using this vintage handkerchief, and I'm gonna lay it out flat, and I want this portion right here to be front and center on the skirt. So what I am doing is I am going to cut a circle out of this little handkerchief. And to do that, I have a little plate here. This is just a small little appetizer plate. The size of this one is, it's about 6 3/4. Depending on the size of the skirt that you want, or how long or short, will depend on the size of your circle. And I'm just gonna go over and trace very lightly. I'm just gonna make some marks in a circle all around my portion of my handkerchief that I wanna cut. So there is my trace. You can see my traced circle marks. I'm going to go in with my pinking shears, and I'm going to cut that circle out. All right, so here is my circle, just like that. I'm going to save this scrap because I always use scraps. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to fold in half, and I'm keeping that Merry Christmas right in the center. Now, you can stitch this. If you wanted to use your sewing machine and stitch this, you definitely can. I'm doing a no-sew project today, but you definitely can stitch it if you did not want to use glue. I'm gonna take a tiny little bit of Fabrifix, and right in the top center of your fold, at the very top of what the skirt is gonna be, I kind of hold my thumb, and I'm gonna pull the top layer of the skirt open, and I'm gonna put just a little daub of glue right there under my thumb. Just a tiny little bit, and then I'm gonna pull my skirt back down, and you can kind of pinch that together. I'm gonna go back in and take a little bit more of my Fabrifix, and I have this tiny little rickrack. I'm gonna just do a little trim all the way around the circular portion of this skirt with my rickrack. If you could sew this in if you wanted, but I am doing the no-sew version so that anybody can do this project with just stuff that you might have around. All right, so there is our skirt right there, and we're gonna fold it up a little bit. Let me show you on the other one what I did. So the other one, what I did was this portion where I put the lace all across the top of that skirt, and then I folded the sides down like such so that the lace came down the center, which is, it almost made like a pleat down the center on that one. This one is a little bit different. We're gonna fold this one just a little bit different. So what I did for this girl in particular is I snipped her hands off of her dress. Her hands were attached to her hips like this, so I just did a little snip here and a little snip here. Now it doesn't matter if you can still see her fingers on the dress because that's gonna get covered. So we're gonna take our little skirt here, and we're gonna take that center part that we glued, and we're gonna put that right at the center of her waist, and just put a little dot of glue right there as well. I want her skirt to flare out a little bit, So when I glue the side, I don't want to glue all the way around because you're not going to see this. This is going to be glued down. I just want to glue a very little bit to her back side here. So we'll put a little glue here, and we'll put a little glue here on the back side of her hips. But we're only taking a little bit of this fabric and kind of gluing it just down to the sides, both sides. So I still want to be able to see those other flowers. So now you can see it kind of scoots out like an A-line shape. I'm going to take a little bit more glue, and I'm going to glue this bottom layer kind of right down on her skirt so it's not flopping up so you can't see the skirt underneath. Now I'm going to do some sort of a little belt or accent piece right at her waist. And she also has a little brooch up here. We might do something up there also, like a little maybe flat back pearl or something. Let's see what we have. I have a little bit of red ribbon. It's a thin red ribbon. I'm going to take a small piece of it because we're going to use this as a belt. And then I also have some of these flat back pearls. You can get them from the Dollar Tree. They're just these little packets of pearls. I'm going to glue this little ribbon to her front first. Bubble going on there. I'm actually going to go all the way around the back as well with the glue because I think my ribbon will wrap around. There. So I'm going to just pinch it and wrap it right around her waist. So she's got this nice little cute satin ribbon belt. Right, so I'm going to use my hot glue, and I'm going to put a few of these flat back pearls just across her belt. All right, so I also have one of these little silver rosettes that have a sticky back. I think these came from Dollar Tree also at one point. I'm going to put this just on her dress up near where she's wearing her brooch. She's got a little silver brooch now. All right, let's punch our hole. Before we put her on, let's punch our hole and add some ribbon. All right, so we got a hole punched right there. I'm just going to distress that a little bit. I used a little piece of the fabric that I had in her skirt for a ribbon, and then I also used some of this small mini tinsel or mini garland. I'm going to put my little garland through my hole while there's nothing else in it, because we're going to have this be up at the top like that. Let's use some of this as well. Bend one end just to get it through the hole. I'm not going to tie this. I'm actually going to put a little hot glue on the front and the back just to push that garland up in. I have a little bit of this red threading. Let's use this. It's actually just the right size. I am just going to tie a little knot, just using stuff that I have. So I'm going to tie a little knot in this and to make a little loop, and then we'll put the loop through. I'm going to get my little tweezers out for this because I have a lot of stuff in there now, so I want to make sure I can get it good. All right, and then we'll put this through. So now we have our little hang tag. We also have a few other little pieces of ephemera, and we have our lady here. So I like her kind of right there. I think that's a good spot for her, but I feel like it needs something else up top, like some more greenery or something else. I have this. Don't want to cover up Santa's head. I could kind of put this maybe out the side a little bit. That's kind of cute. I do like that. I like that kind of layered look. All right, let's do that. And then we'll put her kind of just on the front like that. All right, so I found a few more little things I want to add. I found this little Merry Christmas ornament. I think this was from Dollar Tree. I cut the little pieces off the back. I'm also going to cut those two little hang tags right here. I'm going to cut these off also. I don't want it to look like hang tags anymore. I just want it to look like words. So we got this little Merry Christmas. I'm going to put this up going kind of across Santa's list. And then I also grabbed a peppermint and then this ticket. So I'm going to stick the ticket down underneath the leaf and then kind of stick the peppermint on top. So I think that just adds enough extra for this. All right, I think that one came out really cute. There's the front and then the back. So you can put your gift card in here. You can put your little card in the side slot. It's perfect for a little gift and a cute little tag to hang on the tree. All right, so I'm gonna work on my other ones, guys. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe, and we will see you again in my next video. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care.